whenever I smell lamb meat, I love it. I love lamb ribs, and so I think that that's one of the things that when I go to restaurants, if they have lamb on the menu, I order it. My name is Darius Smith, and I am the director of the Denver Anti-Discrimination Office for the City and County of Denver. And one of the things that I love about my job is that I have the privilege of serving as the point of contact for the Denver American Indian Commission. I have the privilege of being exposed to both my Navajo and my African American backgrounds. My mother was very deliberate of exposing myself and my siblings to Navajo life. So we would actually spend our summers on the Navajo reservation. So growing up, had a strong sense of self and an identity that was very Navajo. And then growing up in a predominantly African American community, I really took advantage of the opportunities that both communities brought. When I started, they called it the Mayor's American Indian Advisory Council. And I would say nationally, that's what that type of model is probably what you see in major cities, mid-level cities and smaller cities. Well, in 2008, under the leadership of the Human Rights and Community Partnerships, they actually went through this year-long process of engaging the American Indian community about building in the importance of the community's expectations, or how they can interface better with the structure of the city government. So they codified it, meaning they actually built it in and wrote it in as an ordinance. And so the current mission is to enhance present and future communications between Denver American Indian community with the City and County of Denver, and to advocate for social and cultural awareness, and to promote economic and political equality. So I think that when there's a formal structure that's set, it changes the dynamic, because I truly believe that when it was just a advisory council, there was no sense of purpose, but there was no sense of really any good reason for the Native community to come engage with the city government. So the structure now is we have 11 amazing American Indians who serve on the commission, and they're from various backgrounds in terms of like community-based organizations like the Denver Indian Center, to some of our federal employees. One of them is an attorney for the Small Business Association. We have individuals who work in mental health. So it's a cross-cut selection of individuals to kind of have a discussion amongst themselves, and in a really good way have critical dialogue about issues that affect the Native community. One of the things that the Commission does, and my position, is to identify Native examples of success. And I think that that's hard for people to wrap their heads around, because often there's a tendency of just saying, well, this is all I've learned about Native people, and they're living in squalor, they're living in subhuman conditions, and there's some truth to that, but if you just focus on that, then it actually stereotypes that all Natives live that way. If you just continue to berate them and tell them that they have these issues, and some of the examples are highest dropout rate, the highest incidences of obesity, the highest incidences of alcohol and drug use, the highest suicide rate of any ethnic group. And if you continue to just say that. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And Native folks will not, they need hope. And I think that that's what the commission brings, and that's a lot of the organization that we do here in Denver is focused on, highlighting these amazing individuals, these amazing initiatives, and I think that that's what's important. And the feedback I get from Native people, it's very encouraging. People come up and just, they shake my hand or they give me a hug and they say, continue to do that because we don't hear this enough. One individual in particular, his name is Walt Poirier. And Walt lives here in Denver. He's a business owner. And he's Lakota. And he was a skateboarder. And skating did so much for him in terms of instill a sense of pride. It's a culture. It's introduced him to a way of life, and it taught him leadership. It taught him how to take calculated risk in a good way. Started a nonprofit in Denver. It's called the Stronghold Society, and it's based on a live life concept, and that's interesting because it's a suicide prevention program. And if we just say it's a suicide prevention program, is what we're doing is we're replicating that type of message as we go into our tribal communities, go onto the reservation. And one of the things that Walt and Stronghold Society has done is they built a $200,000 skate park right there in Pine Ridge, and it's state of the art. It's amazing. And I think that what Stronghold is doing is inspiring Native youth to become leaders in their community through the catalyst of skateboarding. And so the Denver American Indian Commission collaborates every year, and we put on the largest Native American skating event in the country here in Denver. And we're utilizing city resources. So the city and county of Denver, and their great vision is they built an amazing skate park right out downtown Denver. It's a totally free event. It's probably the best skating event put on every year here in Denver. And the Denver American Indian Commission has been having really good discussions about the implications of what that romanticized image continues to do to the psyche of American Indians, but also to non-natives. So I'll pick on the 4 professional teams: the Washington Redskins, the Cleveland Indians, the Atlanta Braves, and the Chicago Blackhawks, which is an NHL team. And so what they continue to do is perpetuate a stereotype that Native people, that there's not 5 million of us across the United States. They want to continue. What that does is it keeps us locked as people of the past. And so it's a human rights issue that if you don't allow us to be present today in a contemporary way, then our issues can never ever be taken seriously. So if you think about the stoic Indian, the pissed off Indian, the proud Indian, it's really confusing. It causes conflicting concepts of self-identity for a lot of Indian people, because here on one side, mainstream America is portraying us like this, and it almost reinforces into a Native person that they have to be that to be Indian. So it's a really sad state that we have owners of teams like Daniel Snyder of the Washington Redskins, who is arrogant enough to say, we're honoring you. And they're not honoring us when we have Native people standing up and saying, this is not honoring us, Mr. Snyder. The National Congress for American Indian, the National Indian Education Association, the National Indian Gaming Association. These are national organizations that have been since the 70s been saying, this is wrong, you need to change this. And they just keep ignoring and say, no, we're honoring you. And it's just, it's just a continuation of how America looks at Indian people, is that we don't exist. They can never take us serious as contributors to what we have. Like, for instance, the Florida Seminoles. People don't realize that had to be about 10 years ago, they purchased the worldwide empire of Hard Rock Cafe. And when they made that purchase, it was $1 billion purchase. They own every single Hard Rock Cafe in the world, except I think the original one. But you got to really think about that. Is there, we have economic clout, but at the same time, you have folks that are just saying, no, we're honoring you, and I was no. It's not a form of honoring. It's disrespectful, dehumanizing, and it should stop. In 2001, the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights actually came up with this amazing statement on how the mascot issue was causing abusive and hostile environments on several, actually 19 campuses across the United States, primarily at the collegiate level. And so 2001, that statement was created. In 2005, actually around 2004, the NCAA, the National Collegiate Athletic Association, created a subcommittee to look at these issues. So in 2005, they identified 19 schools, and they basically put those schools on notice and said, if you don't build a relationship with a authentic tribe and get permission, then you have to get rid of it, because it's dehumanizing and it's wrong. And you had a few schools that did get permission, Florida State being one. They worked with the Seminoles, and they gave them permission. And that was a funny story too in itself, because if you think about it, at that time, the mascot at Florida State would actually come out in a plain-styled buckskin, riding a horse. And I remember reading somewhere where the athletic department at Florida State met with the tribal council, the Seminoles, and they asked them, they said, well, first of all, the dress, the attire that you have this stereotype Indian riding out, that's a Plains Indian. We're from this area, we're from the Everglades, and so can you correct the dress? And so it wasn't until 2005 that they actually started correcting that. And they said another thing, we're not horse people. So that's another stereotype that was being perpetuated. So they asked the Seminole native to be taken off. But I still see it occasionally done, and I think they justify it by saying it's to hurry up and get that person out there. But I think the beautiful thing that came from the NCAA mandate was that in a lot of ways Florida State now has an authentic relationship with the Seminoles. And you have the Utah Utes built a relationship with the Northern Utes in Utah. You have Central Michigan built a relationship with the Chippewas. And I think maybe one or two other major universities made an authentic relationship. South Carolina, Catawba. But other than that, the schools that didn't get permission, they had to eliminate it. So I think that's an example of really forcing critical dialogue about an issue, and I just love it. It took so many years to play out, but I think they got it right at the collegiate level. Now it's the professional ranks that we need to address.